what is the inside joke there, Jack, on getting your
Uh-oh.
YouTube appeals to the gates?
We
Talk
got
about
this notice over the weekend that one of our episodes was taken down for what was it? Harmful content.
flagged us,
I think I
yeah.
mentioned yes, it was probably one of MP's trades. Um, however, we still don't know exactly what it was, but we
James.
appealed it, and they're like, "Well, you're innocent, but be careful."
There you
So,
go.
Andre, no more
The
flashing your firearms on
overlords.
this stream, I guess.
Yeah.
Whoa,
And then
man,
we're flagged again. So
and yeah,
there
thank
you
you, Jack.
go.
Well done, well done. Let's take a look at the tilt here. Nothing really jumping off the page just yet. We'll stay patient. All right, Nasdaq coming up to overnight VWAP right now, 21,330, 333s now. S&Ps following the same, up to overnight VWAP 59.27. Can they push higher here? Right up against it. Look at the ladder. Nothing really jumping off. Upside or
Yeah, it's pretty thin.
downside, Jay. We saw a lot of huge offers on the Nasdaq ladder yesterday. 800 lots,
Yes, we
400
did.
lots, 600 lots. See if we have
At the
that
bid
They
or
like
the
that
ask?
400 area
on
on
the
the
ass.
offer. They like that yeah, they like that 400 area.
They're defending it. They're
That's
definitely
financial
defending it.
advice. I'd buy the bonds right now if I was allowed to do so.
Yeah, just to get
Yeah,
back under
it's
4.5.
coming
The
into
bonds under 5%. It's just doing the
yeah,
same things yesterday. And if it breaks out, fine. You know what your out is.
Sure, like that.
yeah,
I
the
still
big trade, a lot of you know, investment managers are looking at right now is um buying puts in the junk. And so it in the spreads on the chains, they're I mean, like HYG and JNK, not so much JNK, but HYG, they're buying puts that are 50% lower 6 months out. So um
what does that tell you, Emery? What does that say about the overall market and the overall sentiment when you that?
well, there's a bit of a cross current there. So how Jack just said, "Hey, listen, it's a good place potentially to buy bonds," and really they have been lifting off of that floor fairly well, right? So bonds go up, yields go down, right? But if that doesn't work, somebody's going to have to flip. But because the bond market is so big, they could come in like a big fat gorilla and just tear up the place. And so what they're thinking about from high yield junk is that high yield junk is going to have no reprieve, that those interest rates are going to stay sticky, and that's going to send those things into default, crashing down. And if you pay, like, say, 75 cents or $75 for one put, you literally could have 10x, 20x,
Mhm.
50x, depending on how tragic that gets. So it's just on the high yield junk side. It's got nothing to do with treasuries or corporate credit risk.
Thank you, Anne Marie. All right, Ho,
Yeah.
we're about 5.5 minutes. I'll come right to you, Jack. Ho, 5 minutes into this open. Thoughts on the equities? Dead ass low for the opening range here.
Yes, it is. So far, we opened with a gap below the session low from yesterday in the S&Ps and the Nasdaq. Opening range remains the dead ass low, and we have closed the gap in both the S&P and the Nasdaq. So there's a little bit of a fight going on here. Are we going to reaccept range from yesterday and move higher? We do have overnight inventory to the short side. You can see the overnight VWAP is steeping uh, dropping steeply. We've traded right to it in the S and P's, which is right at the low from yesterday. So, our current high in the S and P and the Nasdaq is at a very important level in short time frame. If you ask me, now the Nasdaq, oh yes, the opening range remains the dead ass low. First thing we did was close the session gap to yesterday. That gap closed at 21,298. We're wrestling with that overnight VWAP, which again is pretty steep to the downside. The question again remains: are we going to reaccept range and value from yesterday, which could bring us all the way back up to settlement in both of those markets? Which S&P settlement 59.5975, Nasdaq settlement 21,447 and a quarter. All a matter of we re-accept and range from yesterday or reject and continue lower.
Good stuff, Hogue. Jack, cut you off there. What'd you have? You
I
forgot.
was just saying, yeah, like someone was mentioning about the heaviness in bonds. True, that is the trend, but the demand just seems to come in every time they get above a
Yep.
5% yield, especially
Yep.
during the day time frame.
Oh, you're looking at 30
Um,
year.
Yep.
Also, if that trade doesn't work out and we get a day session where they actually kind of break down below that and keep selling, I think that then we will see us test lower levels in the stocks, in the
Yep.
equities.
For
By
sure.
the way,
What do you
is it
think about
elitist
this?
to say equities? I saw a tweet today that was saying that like people that use equities instead of stocks are bad. Let me know in the chat.
There you go.
Somebody being
I'm gonna say
judgy.
no, Jack. I'm gonna say
Okay,
no.
Exactly.
good.
Somebody being judgy over a
Yes,
word.
they are. I love that. Is that being elitist? Take a look. Yep, like Hogue was saying, we're up here against overnight VWAP. Only thing really moving, I'm seeing crude move to the downside. Last trade there is $62.50. House account short from 62.71. All right, pinned to the top of the chat. Top step daily levels. Again, we refresh those, update those before every New York open. Click on that. Open that window up. Have a little real estate on the screen for that. If you don't have any real estate, it could do you one better as gold continues to sell off. Click on that tab, top of Top Step X indicators. Type in Top Step daily levels. Boom, have them slapped, overlaid on top of those charts.
Yeah,
Gold
little
selling
update
off.
on our gold trade.
Yes, sir.
It did come up and take out the high of the opening range, but it did not hit our stop. Our stop was up at 33.12,
That's a good stop.
60. So now we're in I think we're in a pretty good position here because
Yeah.
we just looked above the initial balance high and rejected. We have a failed upside auction above the high of the IB in gold. So still holding on to two of those. We got out of another one down at 33.03 half last
Ooh.
time we got back. Last time we got down to anchored VWAP off the open. So, but I think we could see this market rotate and come all the way back down to the IB low if we do not take out the current session high. Current session high. Where is it? 33.1180. So missed us by
Mhm.
8 ticks on that stop. That's why you move your
Ooh.
stop a little bit further away when you do take an opening range trade.
Yeah.
They just came out and
Sure.
took out those stops that were just above it. We weren't one of them. We weren't liquidity yet, so we're still holding on to that trade. Pretty nice thing going on here in crude oil though.
Look
We're
at
about
that.
to 2-to-1 risk reward on that crude oil opening range trade right now.
Nice. Nice. Hey, Jack, got a question
Yeah.
for you on the 1 p.m. Eastern time 20-year bond auction. Do you think it'll do anything
Oh, it'll
in the
move.
no,
Yeah.
not the auction itself. I mean the equities based on what goes on in the auction.
Yes, I mean, it depends on what happens, but one thing to keep in mind, because you don't think about that number a lot, noon central today when they have the 20-year auction, just be careful with your orders in the stocks because it can be enough to wick you out. And I think that's one of those numbers that sometimes catches people off
Yeah.
guards because they're like, these aren't bonds, these are
Yeah.
stocks. See, I'm like
Yeah.
the everyman now.
What
Stocks.
equities? What happened to equities, Jack? What happened
And
to
I'm a stocks man now.
You're a common man, a
Well,
man of the people. Absolutely. Let's take a look at that. Emery touched on the 20-year bond auction at noon central. What else do we have? Not seeing too much. We got EIA crude inventories at 9:30, about 50 minutes away. Trump greets South African president, and we have Barkin 11:15 a.m. And that 20-year, like they were talking about. So pretty light right now, but you never know these days. You really don't. So we'll keep an
Yeah.
eye on that. Upper left-hand corner of the screen. See the hashtag fast markets, hashtag power hour. Hit us up at Top Step TV. Again, we've got a little Top Step TV on the X. We've got a little contest going. Send us your trader station, your battle station setups. We're going to pick the top 5 and send those top 5 a $50 gift card to the swag shop here at Top Step. I saw a couple of them. Personally, I like the one with the pizza box. I thought that was the best. They're not listening to me back there. So send those in and we'll
Innovation.
get it is innovation. It's absolutely so. Send those in at Top Step TV on the X, hashtag fast markets, hashtag power hour.
hey, John, can we have an update on Delta for the ES?
Yes, negative 280.
Mm,
Nasdaq negative, well, now positive 80.
Okay.
So
okay. So
a little
basically flat,
divergence there
right?
in the S&Ps.
Mhm.
Early, but a little divergence. That
Chilling
anchored
right now.
VWAP in gold held again.
Yeah, I'm thinking about a long in gold here.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Last trade 3307. Stacking
See
networks. I
what
haven't
you
seen them all.
see.
What do you see? What are you guys seeing? Talk to me. What are you
What time
seeing?
frame? Yeah.
Yeah, so this 3 minute candle here, 7:27 Central Time. We're kind of holding the high of that right now. There was a lot of negative delta there, and we're holding the high of it. And if we look at VWAP attached to it, it's kind of channeling upwards. Uh, so I'm gonna take this trade. I'm long 4 micro gold from 3307.60, and my risk is near the low of that candle. Really, I don't want it to trade back into 50% of it, but 3307.60, and we'll look for target on this
And you use a
3320
minute?
on a 3 minute. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Here goes the Nasdaq. Just went through overnight view up last trade. The Nasdaq 21,360. Wouldn't be surprised if we go test those 400s. 21,400 has been the sticky price for the last week and a half, 2 weeks in the Nasdaq. We went through overnight view up. S&P's trying here, still stuck on overnight view up 59.27.
So
Let's see if we
Jay,
can.
your opening candlestick in gold with that big volume spike, you trading that long because you're up and over it? And
Yep. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So because we
okay,
closed above this, and there's a bunch of negative
perfect.
delta in this candle here, I'm
Okay.
assuming that whoever created that negative delta is now
They're on
underwater
the
if
back
the
foot.
market's above
Yeah,
their position,
they're on
right?
the
So
back foot.
just looking for
Okay.
them to cover.
Gotcha.
Short squeeze. I mean, short squeeze. We got
Yep.
71% long in the Nasdaq right now as we trade 21,360 average long. Ooh, we're gonna like this. 21,337, about 29 points in the money. ES 69% long. Gold and crude 50-50. And Q seeing some more buying. Coming up on these 70s, 370. S&Ps got through overnight VWAP. Now trade. They're gonna go test
Yeah.
these 400s, aren't they?
Yep.
Every damn
Dang
day.
it.
Every damn day. Bond
Should
selling off here.
shoulda, woulda, coulda.
71% long ES now.
There's nothing up there at 400s right now.
It
We've
just
seen
seems
them
like the
trade so much
price.
volume in that area, though.
Yup. Gold catching a bit of a bid here. Take a look at the ladder on the NQ. Jack, any price levels in the futures in the ES correspond with the
Yes, sir.
options? Hit
Right
me, my
where we
man.
are now, basically.
Damn
Sticky
27s.
level 59.25, 59.20. That area could be sticky for the options, especially if we don't get much news. We're kind of in a holding pattern, waiting for
Mhm.
the bill of beauty and bigness to figure out what we're doing there. Above it, spent a lot of time at 59.60 yesterday. 59.70 would be the 59.50 SPX strike.
59.50. All right. Saw in the chat Bitcoin all time highs. Bitcoin cannot keep a good market down. Look at micro Bitcoin here 107,430 last trade. Overnight highs over 108,000. Thank you for keeping us updated on the micro Bitcoin. We're trading all sorts of markets. I know we talk about, the big three, the big four, if you call them NASDAQ, ES, crude, and gold. But we're going to try to move a little bit more of an effort to talk about some other markets out there, not just the big four. So Hoop likes the Ags,
Yeah,
Hogs.
actually, Hoop called on Sunday night at market kickoff. Hoop said, "Hey, listen, I think we get to 110 as the next upshot in micro Bitcoin, and
We're getting there.
it looks like it's climbing there for sure,
Yeah, hit
for sure."
108. And I'm looking at the spot per usual, but we hit above 108 last night.
Hmm.
And now
What
we're
did it get
ripping
down
towards
to?
it again.
Was it in the 70s? It was in the
When?
Yeah,
70s.
78,
Yeah, it was. Wow.
74, 76, something like that.
All right, seeing a bit of a dip in gold. Maybe a little bit of a sell. 33.01. Last trade there. We push higher here. Will we go get those 21,400s in the Nasdaq? About 30 points to go. ES stuck in the mud right now. We do have that 72% long tilt in the ES. Average price 59.25, so about 3 points in the money. And Q still
Gave up
long
that anchored VWAP,
70%.
Jay.
Yeah, it did. It's still holding 50% of that candle hug, which is
Yeah, it's still holding
where
it.
I sometimes
That'll
like to
be your
get an
stop.
entry just because of this.
Uh-huh.
So it's not my stop. It's usually where I like to enter the trade.
Ah,
I
okay.
took this with micro, so
Order
I'm
filled.
okay with this. I'm okay with this price action as long as it doesn't take out and kind of close under this. If it closes under that 50%, then yeah, this trade is cooked. But uh, this was one that was just I like the idea and just getting into it.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Don't
Jay
you
in the
just love
chat. Don't care
micros?
about the tilt.
Order filled.
What's up, Hogue? Sorry.
Nothing.
Sorry, Jay. 73% off. Shoot, I was I scored the tilt again right there. My bad. Hogue, overnight VWAP in gold. I have it at 33.06. We gave it a test beneath, right? Couldn't get on the 33.01s. Gold
Yeah,
saw a
that's
nice rally yesterday. Now range has got a little tighter.
yeah,
Waiting for-
it's holding a basically above the range from yesterday. Let me get the right market up here. Hang on a second here.
pushing higher
Below
in
the
the
range
Nasdaq.
from yesterday, I should say.
Okay.
Above the range from yesterday. What am I talking about?
Range.
Let me look at this. Above the range from yesterday. We barely closed the gap if we did at all. And we're in a previous range. So this is the gap that Dakota was talking about yesterday.
Yep.
It's a weekend gap, goes from 32.95 half all the way up to 33.28 and a half. And we're kind of ensconced in it right now. The anchored VWAP is
Ensconced.
what we're really kind of focusing on here, which is from the overnight from the opening bar. I have it at Jay's got it on the big down bar there, but they're basically in the same spot. So we're kind of watching this 33.03 level to see if we still see buyers there. We just gave it up. We saw some buyers come back in. We do have the failed upside auction above the initial balance. That probability states that the market could rotate all the way back to the initial balance low. We got a little fight going on here, don't we, Jay?
We do, Hogue. We do.
Like
You guys are
clock.
go ahead, Chuck.
I was gonna say, like clockwork, we are bouncing a little bit in the ZBs right now.
Yes, we are.
Yep.
Had
Oh,
my access
21,000.
taken away.
21,384 new high print in the session in the Nasdaq ES 5931. So keep an eye on that 21,400
Dang
level.
it. Missed that long there in
Yeah, see that.
ES. Just
Nasdaq's
kept going.
creeping
Crazy.
inside of value from yesterday.
You know where
One of
it's
the
going.
things we talk about is that value acceptance play. If we'd accept
What is the
inside
value
of
acceptance play,
value,
Hogue? What does that mean?
so yeah, here it is. So here's the range from regular trading hour session range from yesterday. On this platform, value low from yesterday is around 21,371. High of value of 21,442. The market opened with a gap below it. It is driving back inside the range, and if it finds acceptance inside of value, there's a good probability that price will return to the other extreme of value, which could see the
Mhm.
Nasdaq up to around 2144, 21,440 approximately. But the hard part of this is what marks acceptance. We used to say it was 2 30-minute bars closing inside of the previous day's area of value. But if you wait for that, sometimes it's just going to leave you behind and do it without you. You preempt it, it'll come back out, come back in, come back in, come back out. It's kind of a tough play to trade if it doesn't go right away. So we're not in value in the S and P's. We're pretty far from value. Just the Nasdaq really seems to be have some legs this morning to the upside. We got
Yes,
value high in the S and P's. Way up here at 59.50. We've got 18 points before we even think about a value acceptance play.
essentially today's market is going to try to test yesterday's range, and we are into it right now. Like Hook said, once we got above 21,371, that was the lower end of yesterday's range. Hook was saying we're now trading 21,394, closing in on 21,400. 390 there goes some stops. 400's print. I want that shit, Jay. Clockwork, man.
Yeah, right, straight to it.
73% long ES, 70% long Nasdaq.
No size up there
We're up
either. Maybe today's the day where they just let it go, where they need to stop. They don't need to sell anymore. Right, so buyers can just keep
Yeah.
pushing.
Plus, they're super extended from a chain's perspective. They're in the option chains. They just need to get it back inside of that range where they can start to um, get themselves out of the pickle that they're in.
A little bit of a headline here. Germany's chancellor on tariffs. There are signs that the U.S. could be interested in a deal with the EU.
Oh,
Will
geez.
some of this move to the upside?
There are signs that we're interested.
Man, I'm just reading the teleprompter. Don't ask me. I'm just
Shocking commitment.
Oh man, oh, man. That's all
He'll
I'm
say
doing right
anything
here.
that's on the teleprompter.
You
Just
will.
reading what the
Keep that in mind. Financial juice.
yes, it is 75% long now in the ES. Last trade 59.32. Keep an eye on that. 75% long ES.
There are like
59.32.
three. I see
Should
that
find
too,
some
Andre. It's
sellers
like
up here.
there's 3 weasel words in one sentence.
Love it.
We got
Weasel
there are
words.
The
signs
weasel word.
that the U.S. could be interested. That's 3 hedges in one statement.
That's clarity.
Yeah.
If I've
That means
ever
there are
seen
no
it.
signs.
No.
No.
All right. At Nasdaq kissed those 21,404, down about 30 points from there. 21,370. Who's in? I heard someone's in.
That's me.
All right. What do you got, Anne-Marie?
I took a
Order
short
filled.
at the top of the range in the MES. It's a test. So I'll be able to get out with just a little nick if I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'll add on the way down. But we should see if sellers show up. I suspect they need to show up here. And if they can't show up, then we've got ourselves a rotation, likely, all the way back up 59.60. So
It's Anne-Marie, what
just
price did you
testing the
get?
waters here.
What price did you sell?
59. I'm blind as a bat here. Oh my gosh. Hang on
Heyo.
some secs.
All good.
Sorry.
59.31. All good.
Yeah.
59.31 last trade in ES. Jay, you're still in this trade, yeah?
Yep. Still
Yep.
long, yeah. So this is
Oh, yeah, hold it.
where we kind of came down, held that 50% almost to the tick, where you could be a little bit patient with your entries maybe, and we'd have a trade that's in the profit with no drawdown. But the fact that this happened, I don't think that I even need to risk where I am right now, because this is the price action that I'm looking for. Didn't hold below that 50%, so I could take $100 of risk off of this, but I'm going to leave it the stop where it is, and let's see if we can get some buyers step in here. With the
Gotta
equities
recover that.
rallying, though, I don't know if I love being long gold, but trading the market that I'm looking at.
That's
I
it.
took a look at, go ahead, Hogue.
I was just saying to Jay, we gotta recover this anchored VWAP, which we just did.
Yep.
Oh, how are the house accounted trades holding up, or is that on JD's?
Well,
deck?
we're still short the 2 micro gold. We're still short the crude oil. Sitting in profit in both of them. Was hoping we'd get to that 32.95 in the in gold to take another one off. We stopped short of that. We'll see what happens.
Thank you, Hogue.
Thank you, Hogue,
Mhm.
indeed. We were talking about that gold equities correlation. We had something cooking a couple weeks ago. I was taking a look at that correlation matrix, and we can post a link in the chat. It's not as strong as it appears. We're looking at a 12 or so. on that correlation between the Nasdaq and gold. Nasdaq, so it's not as strong of a correlation as perhaps we may have thought, like it was a couple weeks ago. Hogue, if you throw that in the, I could do, I guess.
Yeah, I'm
It's
looking
all
for it.
very, very handy. Very, very
I'm looking for it. Hang on.
I got you. Yeah,
I
check
got it
that
here.
out.
I'll post it.
It's not as strong as perhaps it feels.
Got it, Jay. There
Let
you
me.
go.
Have you
Thank you,
have
Jay.
you ever looked at any of the charts, Andre? I'll see if I can find one of like the SPX priced in gold.
They can do that.
Oh, they can do marvelous things. Unless your Bloomberg's down. Did anyone hear or was affected? The Bloomberg terminals, like 90% of them went down last night.
Uh-oh, Vatican in
Ooh.
trouble. Vatican in deep trouble.
No, it was a big deal. A lot of places weren't making
Yep.
trades, and I was kind of wondering. I had almost a hypothesis. It almost adds to my bonds bouncing back that there was maybe a little less to go through with people kind of unsure with their Bloomberg terminals. What is it they
Got
have,
400.
Andre? 17 Bloomberg terminals at the Vatican?
For 800 people or something like that. Was that right? Yeah. It's
Good stuff.
insane. Trading firms. There's like 800 people in trading firms. They don't have 17 Bloomberg terminals in the office.
Yeah. Where do you trade? The Vatican.
The Vatican. How about you?
Yeah. He has got a big, like,
Our reserves
bunch
are
of
deep.
terminals right in the basilica.
Yeah, man.
A lot of
I
guys
hear
in
they have
headphones,
fantastic internet
priest
service.
robes.
Yup. 59.31, 59.30 in the ES. Coming up to the top of the hour. Yes, top of the hour. It is Wednesday. We told you what the tip of the week is on Monday and Tuesday. Well, by golly, we're going to remind you every single day throughout the week. And this has been an interesting one. Back and forth. There it is. Tip of the week. Embrace the power of consistency. Trade the same hours daily. Avoid jumping between instruments. Stick to a fixed risk reward ratio. Focus on process over profits. Of those four, trade the same hours daily. I like that. Avoid jumping between instruments. We always see, got like Jay's trading from
I'd say
instrument to instrument, but you know what the
same
instruments are.
hours.
Same hours.
Same hours would be the key for me. Yeah. Same hours. If I trade during the day, for me, I'm a volume trader, right? So I like to trade when the most volume is trading during the day. That's usually going to be during this New York session. Uh, my results feel a lot more random when they're not during this time. So if I focus on consistency, it's trading at the same time all the time.
Reith, they're telling me you're muted. Is that true? Very serene
Silent.
background. Zen. She's just vibing over there.
Yeah, I was.
Wait,
I
there
was
she
just
is.
chatting up a storm.
Were you talking to yourself the entire time there? Were you just wondering why
I thought I
nobody's
was
here?
talking to you guys, but yeah, I was
Sorry.
talking to myself.
Sorry. What were you saying there, Anne Marie?
Oh, I was saying I agree with Jay that trading around the same time would be the one that I sit at most routinely because I do move between instruments. I do have to expand my risk to reward depending on what instrument I'm trading. So I would say that top one is what that top one is what I stick to. But it's kind of like what Dr. Brett said yesterday. You really have to keep distractions away and just become focused. Now, some of
Order
us
filled.
can focus on a number of different things simultaneously. I, unfortunately, have the attention span of a Cocker Spaniel. And so I can't, when I'm focused on a trade, I'm really drilled in. And so I can move from instrument to instrument, but my thought process is always, are you focused in terms of what the market is trying to tell you?
How do you know if you're focused, Anne Marie?
I'm with you. I can't do more than one thing at a time.
Oh, I know when I'm not
Not
focused. Yeah,
Okay.
I can't.
not a multitasker.
Sometimes I, I think when I'm not focused, I can easily tell when maybe my camera is turned on and I am attached to the feed where people are seeing me. Um, and
Whoa.
so,
Order filled.
Whoa, big bang here. Come here. Something just hit a tape
yeah.
Whoa,
bomb.
what
Big tape
was
bomb.
that?
Damn.
Whoa.
Huge pop. Whoa. Wow, we're going way down. What the hell was that? Uh,
Wow.
huge tape bomb to the upside. Popped about 20 points in the ES. Take a look at
Wow.
the Nasdaq. Popped
Okay,
about
let's
100
see.
points there. Right back down. What was that? Nothing else really moving. ES and Nasdaq are the ones that
I
really
don't
popped
see
there.
anything on the
Mhm.
line here.
Nothing. What the hell was that?
Going
It
I
was
to
right
a
there
wonder
one
if it
between.
was
second
just a
chart.
liquidity grab.
That was a big one. Whoa. Wow.
Yeah, 1 second chart showing some big volume there in the Nasdaq.
Holy
Yeah,
smokes.
2.5
Whoa.
thousand ES in a second.
2,500. Damn. What prices they clean out, Jack? From 25s up to 44s.
Yeah, it took us,
Yep.
well, in that 1 second, it took us, there was like a mini bump and then it set off something because we went from
Wow.
59.32 to
Holy smokes.
59.44 in a second.
Woo.
And then in about, we retraced it in about, it looks like 15, 20 seconds. That's fun.
Holy.
I like that.
It was. Everyone
Wow.
wake up. Everyone sit up straight. We are locked in here on Fast
Yeah.
Markets, Top Step TV. Huge tape bomb coming in the ES. We saw the Nasdaq go to the upside as well. Gold selling off a little bit now, underneath 3,300. Last trade 32.98. Crude pushing a little bit lower, but that was a big one, and then we went right back down. Man, oh man. Stephen L in
So
the chat
if you're
said that
there,
was crazy. Yeah, it
if
was.
you're there
That
to
tape
watch
bomb
it,
took us to
that's
the upper extreme of yesterday's area of value in the Nasdaq. That was
441,
it.
right.
Hogue.
Yep.
If you're
59.44
at your
was also
computer, that's why I don't like putting in profit targets and have them sitting in the market if you're there.
But what
Yep.
would you have done, Jack? If you don't have a profit target, you're right back to entry. Obviously, you would have gotten steamrolled, right? So
No,
you're
it's
working
it's only if
35s.
you're watching it. What I'm saying is if you're long, what I'm
Sure.
saying is that if you leave both your stop and profit target there, more than likely, um, it means that you will always get your profit target in a tape bomb, and you'll probably lose slippage on your stop. But that's going to happen no matter what. Um, if you are sitting there and watching closely when
Right.
something goes off, right? Uh, you can take advantage of the tape bomb more on the
How so?
profit side of it,
mm,
right? Well, because you might have, like, let's say you had your profit target sitting there 3 points above the market in the ES, you'll get filled there on a 20-point ripper, or even better, like think about one of those tweets where things are just off to the races,
Yep.
whereas you can just monitor it and take it off higher.
So market out. Essentially, no ups, no profit target, but essentially market out because it's the only way I
Yeah.
could see. I got you. All right, good stuff. 2,500 lot in the ES just took out all those offers to the upside, right back down.
so
Amory, you're in this
here's a
trade.
question.
Yeah,
Yes.
how'd that affect you? You're in this trade. Sorry, go ahead.
Not at all. My goal is l- I'm getting in front of where I suspect the move is going to take me, which is back down into the support structure. So I start with an MES, a micro, because if I'm wrong, a reflexive event or liquidity grab is not going to scare me to death. So my stop still way above. It did not do anything to me. What you're looking at right now, this shading up here, is the Globex opening hour. And I always divide it in half. I use a GAN box. And if I reject that halfway spot, I usually head to the bottom. So the question is now, this move that came, is it a buy to cover because somebody short finally puked out? Or is this simply someone trying to bid the market up? My thought today is that, and I'm going to flatten this down 50 something bucks because it should be old. My thought today, because of the volatility compression, because there's so many people talking about shorting, this market has the juice to rocket to the upside and have a whole bunch of shorts puke their guts out. And I mean big size. So that first question about, hey, we just saw that hit the tape, and now the question is, okay, so what does that tell us? And so I think the movement post this one is really going to tell a story. I suspect that we'll stay compressed, but I really do not have any idea. And when a number comes in that big, I have to
Yeah.
go, all right, where's the follow through? You know what I mean? It's just sort of like looking at it and going, all right, let's see if the follow through is there.
It
Make
might have had
sense?
something to do with this headline. The EU
What's
prepares a
that?
trade proposal for the US to steer momentum into talks. God, these are so
Oh,
vague. You're telling me Algo went to, but
so ridiculous.
Still right back into
yes,
the range, right? You
right
look at
back.
this daily range in the equities, it seems like a huge move, and it is tradable, right? Because it's a big enough range to trade, right? We just had from the lows, 150-point move up to the high. But when you zoom out, the markets have not gone anywhere. It looks like they're waiting for
Mm-hmm.
something. So it's not surprising to see that lack of follow through, like you're saying, Emery.
Yeah,
Yep.
we've been giving the upside auction a C minus in the S&Ps and in the Nasdaq. I mean, it's still trying to go, but it's been kind of waffling as far as open interest is concerned, and we've seen some P-shaped profiles rather consistently in the last 5 to 6 days, which indicates short covering, and short covering takes buying power away from the market, and
Yep.
we are basically kind of in that range. So waiting for new
That's what I
information. I
think's
think
really
that
happened.
I think
Yep.
investors are getting really tired of waiting for some order filled resolution on some of these tariff issues.
Well, they're not getting it,
Yep.
Hogue. I mean, they're not getting it. It's all just vague talking in circles.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I
It's
think
going to
people
be
are getting
months and
what
sick.
the,
months and months of
Yeah,
this.
we've
yeah.
already done
Months
that.
and months and months of this.
I know I'm already tired of it.
July 8th. Did I hear
Yeah.
July 8th is the new deadline? The new after the new 90-day deadline. So we're gonna
Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if they kick the can down the street when that
100%.
time comes.
Hmm.
What a trading environment. Lambos for everyone says SSS. Yeah. Well, again, July 8th. Thank you. What is the crime? So we've got another 2 months. Two months of this. All right, pushing high here, 21,410 in the NASDAQ. Again, high just up at 21,441. ES, like Jay said, right back into range. Gold didn't really flinch at that headline. Crude still selling off, 62.33. Hogue, are you and JD talking about how we're managing these trades in crude and gold back there? Take us behind the scenes.
A little bit. I suggested we take another micro gold off if we get down to 32.95, which was our original target for the trade. But if we do follow failed upside auction rules, it could rotate all the way back down to 32.91 half, which is the IB
Yeah.
low. We got a little bit of help from that little bit of information on that, but we have to wait and see if we're gonna see if it plays out. Right now we haven't talked at all about crude oil because it just keeps going our way. uh and I love that. So
Don't,
we've
yeah.
order filled from yesterday. We're at the high of value from yesterday. If we can accept inside of value, I mean, crude oil could go down to 61.80
Yep.
value low from yesterday, which would be another 40 points, 40 ticks on that. Holding below the IB low, which I like. We'll see what happens.
Gosh, I
Right
was a
now,
regular salad hands right
we're just
there.
comfortable being uncomfortable right now is what we're doing.
All year. All of 2025 right now. That's what it seems like. Yeah, and you got crude number about on the hour, crude EIA, crude inventories, Deanna's favorite number on the calendar every week. What do they got expected here? What do they got? $1.1 million one barrel drawdown. They're never even close. Expected and actual, they're never even
You
close. It's
I
always
don't
a
even know
hoot,
why
if
they
you
were.
will. ES going down. Yeah, 59.30 coming down to overnight view at
Yeah.
59.28.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. I should have just sat in there because it gave me my clear rejection zone. There's
Where did you
always
get out
that
of that?
space. Me, I flattened at 59.35.
Basically scratched, right?
Yeah, like $12 or something to the downside. No, 30 something bucks because I had two of them sitting there. I put a short,
Order
and if
filled.
it popped up into that range, as long as it didn't go over the 50% mark, I would take two of them. And it was just a standard mechanical trade I do
Mhm.
all the time. And once in a once in a while I come on past markets, I get ants in my pants and I'm like, God did it. So
Crude's still selling off here.
wouldn't it be the absolute
Yeah, it is.
worst if you actually got ants in your pants?
Be
That
terrible.
How
would
bad would
fire
that
ants too.
be?
Fire ants would be very, very uncomfortable, Anne Marie.
Yes, I got fire ants in my shoes once.
How'd that
I
go?
Pretty
Ouch.
did too.
bad.
Was it in Florida?
No, it was in the Carolinas, but yeah, easily it could have happened in Florida.
Yes.
Yes, selling off. What?
I know it.
Happened on the
You
golf
have to.
course, Andre.
Is
I
that
was
Oh
true, Joe?
running
I
no.
did not know
around.
that.
I
Yeah, I
hopefully
was playing with my
that was a
dad.
public course
What's up?
because if it was, I said hopefully it was a public course. And they were like, "Listen, because if it was a private course, you'd be able to go and race some cane."
Go ahead, Anne Marie.
Yeah.
What do you know about public courses? Anne Marie, what
Well,
do you know about public golf courses?
it was private, but I also was hitting from somewhere I should not have put my ball there to begin with. Didn't notice the fire ant
Yeah.
hill.
Mm.
All right.
All right, coming in about 15 after. Got that big tape bomb, maybe because of the headline.
Yeah.
2,500 lot clearing out. 10, 15 points in the ES to the upside, right back. And markets are just trying to dust themselves, pick themselves up, say, what
Yeah.
was that? Jason on this
What
trade house.
if we tried to buy the VWAP right here? Sorry, what were you saying?
No,
No, it's. I was thinking the
absolutely.
same thing, Emery. We got overnight
Oh,
VWAP,
good.
New York session VWAP right there, 59.28.
Yeah. All
Kind of
right.
lower that volume spike that we just had.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just,
Yeah.
for me, trading the equities right now, th- with them being so range bound over the past couple of days,
Oh,
every time I look at a
awful.
trade in the equities, I'm thinking how much room is there in a potential move. Right.
Exactly.
So I right now this kind of feels like middle of the range, hoping for a breakout. I would love to buy it somewhere lower than this right now, just because of the condition that
Yeah.
the market's been in over the past couple of days.
Yeah. That's where I've got some buys lower on the edge. I have yesterday's Globex opening candle high,
Mhm.
and then I have the range of low at that 59.12 Jack was talking about a little bit ago. And the other one is really that 59.04. So I'll be a little patient here and see what gives. I am moving against the trend of that moving average, but we are bottoming. We did just make a higher high relative to the wave. We're making higher lows. So it's either going to chop around here and move up into a little bit of a higher range, or we're going to fall through and stop. So I probably got about $100 of risk on this altogether. If all of them come in, it's just an easier way to trade for me with all these tape bombs that come across using um, a Top Step account, right? I mean, I can sit around in I spent a lot of times in the options market. I could sit around in there and let it wiggle up and down against me, but you really have to manage risk inside of these accounts. That's the only way you get from one place to the next. Micro
Well
Bitcoin
said.
is holding up.
Still pushing.
Yeah. Yep. And it's about to cross over. And these lines that I have, these vertical lines, what I'm using them to measure is momentum. And so when momentum shifts positive, I just look for the floor of support and try to pick up. So, talking about focus, I
Huh?
would have had, based on this line pulling here, I would have had old resistance, new support tell me that I have a potential for a long, but only up into resistance simply because it
Mhm.
rotated back down long, but I always follow with overall trend. And I wasn't paying attention. I was distracted. And so I always know I'm distracted where I look back on the chart and I go, good grief, you know exactly what you're going to see there. Why wasn't your order just waiting for it? Right? Because if you're
Yep.
trading the micros in small number, it's okay to go, I'm going to test the waters right here. And as it moves in my favor, I will add to the trade.
Question in the chat. I do believe Jay is the one that coined this term. Jay, what is a tape bomb?
Tape
Order
bomb
filled.
it's a spike of volume, and you can see every time we get one, Jack moves over to the 1 second chart. Well, you'll see them more clearly, but it's just a kind of seems a random spike of volume where it clears out. It's either clearing out stops usually. Uh, I think more important than what's a tape bomb is what happens afterwards. And we talked about the
Yes,
follow through,
agreed.
right? Lack of follow through. So we just had that huge spike of volume in the S&P and the Nasdaq, and look at what the
Hmm.
markets do afterwards, right? So
Yeah.
anytime I'm looking at one, that's what I'm reading, right? What is the market's reaction? Is there follow through? Because if there was, right, and we just continue to see buying, then that's not a move that you want to fade. But if that was a move where market participants don't necessarily need the market to keep going up, then
Hmm.
you know, somebody could have seen that price action and say, "Oh wow, the market's rallying. Let me get in long," and you bought the high of that move, and you're down 15 points in the S&P right now.
Yeah.
So watch the market's reaction and